Are there some people who just drive you crazy? Well, consider this. Those people might just be reflecting back to you aspects of your shadow self. Hi, I'm Beth Strathman. Welcome back to my channel. In today's video, we're going to delve into the intriguing concept of your shadow and unveil the mysteries of how it's formed. Now, just to review, your shadow, as introduced by Carl Jung, the famous Swiss psychiatrist, are the repressed and unconscious aspects of yourself that you were taught were unacceptable. It encompasses thoughts, memories, beliefs, behaviors, memories that you learned from usually your parents or your family that they were not appropriate for you to express. So your shadow is a reservoir of all the repressed and disowned aspects of yourself that you kind of keep hidden away, even from yourself. It's truly a shadow trait if you don't admit to having it in yourself. And oftentimes you project these shadow traits onto other people and accuse them of being a certain way or doing certain things that you don't approve of. That really, when you look at yourself, you will find those same traits in yourself. You just deny that you have them. So how do you develop a shadow? Well, first, through childhood experiences. As children and even infants, we're dependent on the people around us for our survival. So we really try to please them and make them want to keep taking care of us so that we don't die, right? So what our parents, in particular, our families, believe is appropriate or acceptable, we really learn quickly to try to be that way and not be a way that is not acceptable. So in our childhood experiences, through these interactions and reading clues in the way our parents respond to how we show up, we learn that there are certain characteristics and traits, certain ways of being, that how we're showing up, that those aren't going to cut it in your family. You shouldn't be that way. And oftentimes it's very subtle. It's not necessarily direct, although it can be very direct. They can say, don't act that way. But a lot of times you just sort of infer, maybe rightly or wrongly, that you should not be a certain way or think a certain way. So you learn to hide or deny that you are that, right? Whatever they accused you of, you learn, don't be that way, don't admit to being that way, put it aside, put it away, forget about it. So the shadow starts to form. A second area where we can start to develop shadow traits is just through social conditioning. So now, including the family, but broader, into the broader society, we go to school, we make friends, we're more aware of what it means to live in whatever culture or country or city or town you live in. You learn what's acceptable. So even through things like, think about it in junior high and high school, peer pressure, right? You learn how to fit into that group. So once again, as humans, we're very sensitive to belonging to a social group, like other mammals, right? We're social creatures. And so just like with your family and your childhood experiences, as you grow older too, you're very aware of how to fit in socially. And so any of those traits or ways of expressing ourselves that aren't acceptable to our social groups, we start to maybe put some of those traits into our shadow, repress them, deny that they are parts of us. Piggybacking off of our childhood experiences and our social interactions, another area, or a more specific area, that we put in our shadow is anything that we're judged for or rejected for. And that makes sense, going back to the idea again that we want to belong to a group, whether it's a family or a larger community. So we get judged for being a certain way, or we get rejected for being a certain way or not being a certain way. And we then, in our own psyche, decide that we're going to put that aspect of ourselves in our shadow so that we're more acceptable to the group. So maybe we need to be, we're kind of meek and mild, and whether it's the family or the social group, assertiveness is more acceptable. So any aspect of us that is more quiet and meek, we may try to deny that. And vice versa. If being boisterous and loud is not acceptable, we might want to put that trait. We decide to put that trait, unconsciously decide to put that trait into our shadow. So these traits now are unconscious, but even still, they continue to influence the way we show up with others and how we see ourselves. And finally, traumatic events such as abuse, neglect, significant losses in our lives, like of loved ones, can all create an opportunity for us to repress aspects of ourselves in our shadow. These aspects, hidden away now in our shadow, repressed, then continue to influence the way we show up behaviorally and emotionally from then on. So, for example, if you lose a loved one, particularly if you lose a loved one early in your life, you may repress, maybe you never grieved, or you never went through the grief process, or you tried to suppress sadness, right? And show up as though, okay, that didn't bother me. I'm good. Don't worry about me. I'm good. I can take care of myself. So all of that sadness and grief might have been put away in your shadow, and you deny that you are feeling sad or are still grieving for that individual. The importance of the shadow is that it's there, it impacts you, and the fact that you're unaware of it can hold you back from growing personally. Your personal growth and development can be impacted. So as Jung believed, it's really important to start looking into your shadow, embracing the qualities that are there, finding the good in those qualities, and beginning to bring those back and integrate them into your normal way of showing up. In this way, he believed, one becomes a more integrated and whole individual. And that was really important, of course, for personal growth and development. In the end, when you integrate your shadow and become more whole, a whole individual, then you will show up more authentically to who you really are. So just to wrap up, the ways that you form your shadow are through childhood experiences, social influences and interactions, being rejected or criticized, judged, and through traumatic events. Those are the four main ways that characteristics or traits you put away in your shadow. And being courageous enough to do the work, to look at your shadow and unpack what's there and start to bring it back into who you are, is really important for your own personal growth journey. I hope you enjoyed today's video. If you did, be sure to like it, share it, and subscribe to my channel if you'd like to continue to get more content on your personal growth and development. Until next time, continue to explore your shadow, bring those qualities out of the dark and into the light of who you are, Embrace them so that you can move closer to becoming more of your authentic self.